What's going on? Welcome to Unlocking Your Inner Strength. In these episodes, I share with you insights and inspirations that have come to me on my path in life, and hopefully they can be a welcome hand of guidance as you move along your journey. I teach because I'm passionate about my message. I teach because it helps me to learn more deeply. Thanks for sharing a few minutes of your time with me for this week's episode, and without further ado, here is this week's show. What's up, everybody? I'm Kyle, your host of Unlocking Your Inner Strength. Second episode this week. Figured I'll get ahead of it here the next couple weeks. And today, took a break last episode to go over developing your principles. Today, I'm going to be going over the third part of the 50th law about fearlessness and being fearless and fearless and all that good stuff. I called it developing your vision. As I was flipping through pages 40 to 60, I wanted to see my notes and see what I thought the theme would be. So let's see, what do I have going on this weekend before we get to that? We're going to the Hillsborough High School state championship game tonight. Figured that'd be fun for the kids. After we have a glass of wine with our friend Helen Wong. And tomorrow, my parents are taking the kids around noon for a sleepover, so it's going to be a fun day for Devin and I to just chill out and connect. And I don't know what I got on Sunday. Getting all my stuff confused here. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be a great weekend. But let me dive into this, and hopefully this stuff can help you. Sometimes luck or serendipity is more a function of the openness of your mind. Luck or serendipity is more of a function of the openness of your mind. It really does come down to your attitude and your beliefs as far as optimism or pessimism. And I consider myself to be a very lucky person because of my belief system. I always tell people I couldn't tell you the last bad day that I had. And if you don't think there's something to that, you're sadly mistaken, because the beliefs you put off, right, is like a magnet. It's an energy. And that's what you're going to get in your life. Take in as much as possible with your own eyes. You communicate with people up and down the chain of command within your organization. You want to expand your access to different ideas. Force yourself to go to events and places that are beyond your usual circle. Huge. I mean, this is relevant for me right now. But don't just get stuck with one person you're communicating with, or only looking at one set of data, or whatever it is you got to do. Force yourself to go to events and places that are beyond your usual circle. That's where you're going to develop relationships. I actually have to underline one more part of that. You have to, that's where you're going to develop relationships. And relationships are really the key to life, guys. Relationships are the key to business and the key to life. People like to look at the surfaces, get all emotional, and react, doing things that make them feel better in the short term but do nothing for them in the long term. Very relevant with fitness and health, very relevant in life. People want to make a change, and all they got to do is make the decision and act on it. But rather than do the decision that is potentially harder, but it's easier in the long term, they'll do stuff like, well, I'm just not going to talk to so-and-so for a while. It's not that big a deal. Or, I can still cope with it. No. Do stuff that is going to impact your life and put you on the path you have to be on. It is a law of power, however, that the further and deeper we contemplate the future, the greater our capacity to shape it according to our desires. I actually ordered my for the first time in years, what's called a planner pad. It's the best daily planner I've ever seen. And I realized I really got to get back into that. Like today on my list, the big thing that I have, okay, with my Vince Gabriel planner, which is awesome as well, is I got to finalize my personal schedule for going forward and next week. Right? You command the time. You command your time. And when people talk about time management, they're really talking about energy management. Okay, and energy is where are you putting your focus on? That's key. If you have a long-term goal for yourself, one that you have imagined in detail, then you're better able to make the proper decisions in the present moment. That's really talking about visualization. Very powerful stuff. As a person who cannot be easily ruffled by events, you will attract attention and power. As a person who cannot easily be ruffled by events, you will attract attention and power. So with that, guys, I mean, I think of when we opened the gym, May 18th, 2020, despite the ludicrous mandates from the government, whether people hated me or loved me, it drew a lot of attention because I don't get ruffled by stuff like that, right? And that goes back to your mindset and luck and serendipity and all this type of stuff. Don't get ruffled by the things that the average person gets ruffled by. Yeah, are you going to feel angst or fear? Yes, but courage is acting in the face of that and being able to calm yourself and breathe. And this is why you should always be training your mind. Always be training your body. Always be training your mind. And make sure you get in touch with your spirit, right? And then you're not going to be completely thrown off with events that might come your way that can, potentially mess up your flow. All right, so don't be. You got to look at those things, guys. The way I always looked at this in my life, when events come up like that, they're opportunities. What we're living through right now is a huge opportunity, right? I've had people tell me, including my sister-in-law, said, "Man, it just seems like everything always works out for you guys." They're talking about me and my brothers. Well, it does, because we act when there's opportunity, and we act with confidence moving forward. Things are not always going to go as you had planned, but that's okay. Life is a game. In a game, you got to have fun. You got to keep score, right? And you got to enjoy it. So that's why life's a game. Let's see what else we got. I was born alone. I will die alone. I've got to do what's right for me and not live my life the way anybody else wants it. It's not up to what other people want for your life, including your spouse. And men, I'm going to tell you this. A lot of times women, I'm not saying they do this intentionally, maybe they do. That's a different conversation. Your partner, your spouse will have more, your wife will have more respect for you if you continue to follow your path. If they can control you and knock you off your path, they lose respect for you. It's almost like a test. You have to be committed to what your life's purpose is. And I've seen this with Devin and I. And I told Devin early on, and she kind of knew, I've gotten much better at harmonizing things in my life. We work on our relationship a lot. But she was always going to be battling my other mistress, which was my mission to make people better. So just think about that. You came into this life with the only real possessions that ever matter. Your body, the time that you have to live, your energy, the thoughts and ideas unique to you, and your autonomy. The only real possessions that ever matter. Your body, the time that you have to live, your energy, the thoughts and ideas unique to you, and your autonomy. And you're born with that. So stop chasing stuff that's not there. Master this stuff. Master your body. If you think you can live life at the highest level and you're not taking care of your health and you're not pushing yourself, you are sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. Now, I'm going to be blunt, guys. When I see somebody, that might have a lot of knowledge telling me about their expertise, or I'm listening to a seminar or whatever, if they are in, let's just say, below average shape, it knocks them down as far as what they're saying in my head. I can't fully believe them, because in my mind, I know that if they don't have their personal life in order and they don't have the discipline to get their body the way, I'm not saying to become Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm saying to be fit. And that's different for everybody. You can tell when somebody's way out of shape and when somebody's fit. Then I can't trust everything else that they're saying. So just keep that in mind as well, guys. For yourself, starts with physical movement, the mind, body, spirit, right? Mind, body, spirit. You got to connect with each of those each day. True ownership can only come from within. It comes from a disdain for anything or anybody that impinges upon your mobility, from a confidence in your own decisions, and from the use of your time and constant pursuit of education and improvement. Constant pursuit of education and improvement. Book there, newsletter there, this book, got my Bible, got this book about sales, reality transurfing. I've got 10 books on the stool I hide under the counter because Devin gets mad at me. I've got about 15 books on my nightstand. Man, it's just constant learning, right? But that's the pursuit of education and knowledge. Knowing, like I talked about last week, that you don't know anything. So just experiencing stuff, right? Experiencing a book, learning from it, put it to practice, test it out. Everyone in the world is governed by self-interest. People naturally think first of themselves and their agendas. Remember that. People, in its human nature, are always going to put themselves first, what's best for them. And that is why, now I'll tell you, it could be different in the family dynamic. At this point in my life, I have to do what's best for me as far as my mission, but there's other things I've got to put the kids, Colt, Brax, Emma, and Devin. You have to sacrifice things for them. You have to put them first. So it's not always true, but if you're dealing with people and negotiating and stuff like that, and just be on guard. Be on guard. And there's the timer. I'll be winding up here soon. You are more alone than you imagine. This should not be a source of fear, but of freedom. How brilliant is that? You are more alone than you imagine. This should not be a source of fear, but of freedom. Most people go through life and they're looking for somewhere to plug their umbilical cord back in. That's over the minute you come out of the womb. You're on your, on your own as far as living life, but to the point of this, realize you're on your own. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to put the magic into your life besides you. You're going to go through different phases in life where you have lulls, but in the lull, right, there can be a lot of good stuff coming on. It's like when the Sherpa goes up the mountain. The higher they go, the more they got to rest and stop for the night. Go up a little bit, rest. Right, when you're down low, it's easy to just go consistently. But that's some of my thoughts on that. Let's see, we've got a lot here to finish, and I'll be at page 60. So just talking about Hurricane Carter, which is I think it was called The Hurricane, a movie with Denzel. That was probably late 90s, early 2000s, where Reuben Carter, Hurricane Carter, this is a true story, boxer that was wrongly accused of murder, went to jail wrongly for like 20 years. He was only afraid of losing his dignity and sense of ownership. As a part of this strategy, he refused to have the usual entertainments in his cell, which included television, radio, pornographic magazines. He knew he would grow dependent on these weak pleasures, and this would give the wardens something to take away from him. Also, such diversions were merely attempts to kill time. Instead, he became a voracious reader of books that would help toughen his mind. How cool is that, right? And that's doing the opposite, right? That's one of the principles I try to instill in myself and those that ask me for advice is do the opposite of what others are doing, and you're going to be right 99% of the time. Think of it this way. Dependency is a habit that is so easy to acquire. We live in a culture that offers you all kinds of crutches, experts to turn to, drugs to cure any psychological unease, mild pleasures to help pass or kill time, jobs to keep you just above water. It is hard to resist. But once you give in, it's like a prison you enter that you can never leave. You got to listen to that one again. I'm not going to repeat it here. Just go back and listen to it. You continue to look outward for help, and this severely limits your options and maneuverability. Again, you're alone. You are alone. Acknowledge that. You might be married. You might have your partner there, but this ties into something that I learned in my map. Every relationship you have in your life right now will come to an end one day. The sooner you acknowledge that and are okay with that, the more fluid and freedom you have in life, the more fluidity and freedom you have in life. It can only come from you. It is a kind of exercise you must practice on a daily basis, weaning yourself from dependencies, listening less to others' voices and more to your own, cultivating new skills. Self-reliance becomes the habit, and at anything that smacks of depending on others will horrify you. It should. And that's that, guys. I mean, there's a lot within this book. Again, I highly recommend this book. This is a book I read in 2011 for the first time, so 10 years ago. And I know my man BK just picked up a copy, but it's a great book. It's one of my top 5 books. I highly recommend that you check this out. And again, it's not about being fearless, meaning you're never going to feel fear. It's about being fearless. How do you fear less? And it's about the mind. Great stories in here to sharpen your mind when it comes to that. And quick plugs, we got our annual Thanksgiving charity workout, Thanksgiving morning, 7 a.m. in Hillsboro. You can bring a monetary donation or non-perishables going to people in Manville that are still suffering from Hurricane Ida after effects. And that's all I'll plug right now. You guys have a great weekend. I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for always supporting. And
you wrote for today's episode. I appreciate you and your time, truly. I'm humbled and honored if you made it to the end of this episode. Don't forget, you can go to kylenewell.com for your free ebook written by yours truly on getting started with fasting, infused with 5 mind map principles never before seen. This is something I have not given out to anybody else that'll help you see the light when it comes to your fasting journey and creating better health, both physically and internally. Remember, it's all about the mind, body, and spirit. Until next week, peace.